So who's going to say it? Because if y'all are too scared to say it, I'm going to say it.
I'll say it. When Spain saw that there was gold in Ghana, they were broke. They needed money to buy gold. So what did they do? They started enslaving Africans and dispersing them throughout the diaspora, the Caribbeans, Brazil, Central America, and the United States later on with the English. And so for in the United States, the chattel slavery was brutal. It erased the identity of African people, and they were not allowed an education. They were basically property for their slave owners, including our first five presidents who owned slaves. So for 300 to 400 years of this brutality going on, um, people were being bought and sold. So over a period of time, it was impossible for people to trace their roots back to Africa, even though our melanin was a weapon against us in keeping us in bondage. And it took forever and a day to overcome that with slave revolts and everything else. So my question to you is, if your government and your country will not acknowledge the Holocaust that happened to these black people who are still struggling with identity issues and everything else, like a Kanye West who, has forgotten that he's a black man and he's at the top up there with his equals. There's nobody black up there but him. How do you expect, people to do all these things that you just described, holding people accountable when people's lives are still in shambles in this day? Homeless people can't get jobs, people are still struggling with what's in their DNA and their melanin. They want to be anything but African. They can be two parts this, two parts that, but when it comes to the African story, they can't even trace it back. They can get an ancestry DNA stick, but at the end of the day, can you trace your relatives and find out where they were? Because no, they were being raped, bought, sold, hung, and everything else. So before you having a conversation about Kanye and comparing him in the blueprint for whatever, we need to start with the exact history of how we got to where we are today and how far have we come along since then. Has there been any acknowledgments, and has there been any reparations given to those whose lives have continuously have been destroyed and have not yet been able to come together as a people, because we're all divided throughout the diaspora. Some of them don't even want to claim that they have black in them and they look like my relatives. We're having this conversation. I'm just giving my 2 cents in. I'm sticking with my story. I don't know about all of that coddling and all of that, because how can you coddle when your life has been destroyed? I'll wait.